Hello and welcome back to the channel, guys, for this week's predictions in the Premier League. Before we do that, we're gonna just quickly recap week one. We had big wins for Sunderland. What a start to their Premier League campaign. 3-0 winners against West Ham. We had City win 4-0 against Wolves. Liverpool and Bournemouth played a 6-goal thriller, which was an incredible way to open the season. Forest won 3-1, and it was another Spurs won 3-0 against Burnley. So plenty of goals in the opening weekend. Will this week follow? Let's find out. We start tonight again. We start on a Friday night. West Ham versus Chelsea in a London derby. Now, West Ham, again, a lot of the clubs that haven't spent big this window still continue not to spend big, and I don't know what they expect. Obviously, West Ham got thrashed by Sunderland on the opening day. I just don't think things look bright for them at the moment. I think they're going to struggle this season. And will probably be in the mix for relegation if they don't start signing players. They've got, 10 days to sign players? Who knows? Chelsea, on the other hand, have spent, whilst not making any signings in this week. I think they're in a much better place, despite drawing 0-0 against Palace. And I know rules are rules. I just think that rule was. I think that rule's silly. They could have lost the game 1-0 to Palace easy, but hey ho, is what it is. My prediction for this one: West Ham 1, Chelsea 2. And this week, don't worry, guys, we're not going to ramble on for 47 minutes or whatever. However long that last video was, because I don't think my voice can take it, and I don't think you guys can take that much of my voice. I wouldn't be able to. Next up, we've got the 12:30 kickoff on Saturday. Man City versus Spurs. No new faces for either team. I think City have been linked with Rodrigo from Real Madrid, which is an interesting signing. City obviously started off in electric fashion, thrashing Wolves 4-0. Up until the first goal, though, and probably a little bit surprisingly, Wolves actually played very, very well. They had a goal disallowed, and they actually played all right. But then the first goal went in, and then the second goal went in, and then it was floodgates open. So yeah, City will be thrilled with that. Not an easy place to go to, Molyneux. Spurs started the season also thrashing a team, and I'm going to use the quotation marks thrashing here because I sat and watched this game on Saturday, and whilst obviously the scoreline reflects Tottenham won, Burnley had better quality up front. It could have been a 7, 8, 9 goal thriller. Burnley created some really, really good chances and played well. But the talking point is obviously that incredible overhead kick / bicycle kick from Richarlison with it was an absolute ridiculous finish, like absolutely ridiculous. So who knows? Maybe the start of something new for Richarlison in that he's probably going to score some goals this season, although he was very, very briefly linked as part of the deal for Tottenham's transfer to Eze, which we'll obviously talk about a little bit later on as the fixtures progress. My scoreline for this one's always entertaining. I'm hoping for a goal fest. I'm going City 3, Spurs 2. First of the 3 o'clock kickoffs, Bournemouth versus Wolves. Whilst they lost on the opening day, I think Bournemouth can be very, very happy with how they performed. They were very, very good. And maybe, I think Gary Neville quoted, Liverpool could be the most exciting team to watch this season because they're going to be so attacking minded that they could be defensively frail. But I think Bournemouth played really, really well. Obviously, they went 2-0 down and then pulled it back to 2-2. Semenyo, obviously, the talking point of that game being subject to racial abuse. And then just have the character to go and score 2 goals at Anfield. Fair play to the lad. They've also, since last week, they have signed Ben Doak. I always, do you know what? I always second guess myself in how to pronounce his second name. Anyway, they've signed him from Liverpool, conveniently, or ironically. Wolves, no transfer business this week, and obviously got thrashed by Man City 4-0. So score prediction for this, I can't see anything other than a Bournemouth win. Bournemouth 2, Wolves 0. The second of the 3 o'clock kickoffs, Brentford versus Aston Villa, and again Brentford just continue not to sign many players. And I get it. Sometimes you can make too many signings, but hey ho, especially amidst the transfer speculation with Vissa still going around. And then obviously they lost 3-1 to Forest and were 3-0 down in the opening 30 or so minutes, which we'll talk about that a little bit later on. Villa, no new signings either. I think amidst the video last week, Jacob Ramsey was having his medical at Newcastle. He has now departed. And drew 0-0 against Newcastle, on opening day. Scoreline for this one, Brentford 1, Villa 2. I think Villa will just nick it. I think they've got better quality. The third of the 3 o'clock kickoffs is 2 of the newly promoted sides. Burnley kicking off their season at Turf Moor against Sunderland. Obviously, stark contrasting to results. Obviously, we touched on Burnley actually playing really well against Spurs, despite losing 3-0. They're going to have to make Turf Moor a fortress, I think, for them to stand at any chance of staying up, which is probably the case for all the promoter sides. Not a lot to talk about as regards to signings from any of the teams. I think they've done a lot of their transfer business early on. Score prediction for this, I'm going to wimp out and pick the easy option. Burnley 1, Sunderland 1. Then we move on to the late kickoff on Saturday. Arsenal versus Leeds. Now, Arsenal are obviously on the verge of signing Eze from Palace. I think he's currently doing his medical, which will add a little bit of spark to Arsenal. I watched the game on Sunday against United, and whilst they won 1-0 to a set piece, would you believe it? They weren't convincing, Arsenal. Not what we used to seeing them. But a win's a win. You don't get any bonus points for scoring extra goals. You essentially get the better goal difference and whatnot. Leeds also fresh off a 1-0 win in controversial style, which we'll talk on a little bit when we talk about Everton. But I think again Leeds are going to have to rely on Eden Road being a fortress for them to have any chance of staying up. Unfortunately for Leeds, I can't see anything past an Arsenal win, and I'm going a comfortable Arsenal win, 3-0 Arsenal. Next up, the first of the 2 o'clock kickoffs and the first of the ties that make you go, ooh, got one then. Given recent times, Palace versus Nottingham Forest. Obviously, Eze looks like he's pretty much out the door now. And surely Palace are going to have to start spending money to replace Eze, at least just Eze. Meanwhile, you know, Forest have been the busiest of the clubs this week. They've signed Amari Hutchinson from Ipswich, James McAtee from Man City, Arno Kalimwendo, I don't know how you pronounce his name, but him from Rennes, and Douglas Luiz on loan from Juventus, which they do have the option to buy following that. Obviously, this clash is going to be spicy, given the fact that, obviously, due to Palace's owners multi-club ownership, there we go, got there eventually. Palace, despite winning the FA Cup, are playing in the Conference League. They played their first game in Europe last night, and Forest took their place. Don't agree with it at all. Not here to talk about that. Palace started off with a 0-0 draw against Chelsea, whilst Forest obviously started off with a 3-1 win against Brentford. The last 4 meetings, I just did a little digging. The last 4 meetings at Selhurst Park have all ended in draws. So with that being said, I'm again going to take the easy way out and go Palace 1, Forest 1. Although, come on Palace. Next up, we have Everton versus Brighton. Everton will be playing their first competitive fixture at their new stadium. I'm not going to call it what it's called because I think it's a ridiculous name. It might be in homage to something, I don't know. Please forgive me, but I think the ground name's ridiculous. But hey ho. Obviously, they lost 1-0 to Leeds in VAR's controversial ways. A penalty given against James Tarkowski. And it's one of those, you can see why it's given, but you also see it plenty of times not given. It's just whether VAR decide to want to take centre stage. It'll be a tough pill to swallow. I did watch parts of the game. I watched the first half mainly, and Everton looked toothless. I think they went there, obviously Ellen Road is not the easiest place to go to by any stretch of the imagination, but they had no attacking threat whatsoever. I don't know what they were like in the second half because I missed the second half. But yeah, they seemed very, very toothless. Brighton, despite dominating Fulham, lost 2 points in the last minute against Fulham. 1-1 it finished. Fulham equalising in the last minute. Based on performances last week, I do think Brighton will have too much for Everton, and I'm going to go for a 1-0 win to the away side. Moving on to the 4:30 kickoff on Sunday, we have Fulham versus Man United. Fulham still have only signed 1 player. Again, is that enough? Do the ownership or manager think that they've got enough quality to be competitive again this season? Who knows? Obviously, they'll be buoyed by that late equaliser against Brighton. It's not a bad point, is it, against Brighton? Against a team that you're probably going to be battling against for position. United, I actually thought United played very, very well on Sunday against Arsenal. A lot more energy about the team than what we've been used to seeing the last few seasons. So yeah, I think United fans can be excited, and if they get a little bit of consistency, there is absolutely no way, no reason why United can't challenge for European places this season. Score prediction for this one: Fulham 1, United 2. And then moving on to what I think is the main event of game week 2, Newcastle versus Liverpool. Obviously, one person takes centre stage here. Alexander Isak, or this whole transfer saga is still burning fiercely. And obviously Isak has come out publicly and stated that promises have been broken. He doesn't feel like the relationship with the club can continue, yada yada. Eddie Howe's been quite defensive of it. He's thinking, yeah, do you know what? He's not going to be in the squad for this game, but I do hope to see him in a Newcastle shirt again. Who knows? Only the club and Isak can figure that out. Newcastle, I think Newcastle, given that Villa were down to 10 men, will be disappointed with drawing against them. However, 0-0 against Villa, ultimately, again, a team you're going to be pretty much battling for position, in my predictions anyway. Not a bad result at all. Liverpool, absolute cracking game against Bournemouth. I thought offensively they were brilliant. Defensively they were shabby. And it was just end to end. It was definitely not the game I thought it was going to be, but rallied late on in the end and won 4-2. I'm going for another entertaining game here. I'm going Newcastle 2, Liverpool 2, and that concludes my week 2 predictions. Stay tuned for next week's predictions, which will hopefully be out earlier than the actual game day themselves. But yes, if you like this video, give it the thumbs up, of course. Don't forget to share and subscribe, and click the bell notification for bell button for notifications. That one. English is difficult. Trust me. English is difficult. And until next time, guys.